If you get an alert on that NHS Acts app, which is rolled out to everybody living on the Isle of Wight today, then you will need to be able to get a coronavirus test. And if that can't happen, you either stay off work, at home, or you go about your business and risk infecting many other people. And if that happens, the theory is that we'd end up with a second spike very quickly.
LBC's political editor Theo Ussher reporting. We'll talk about the importance of these tests and what they provide in just a moment. Let's get the political aspect there and turn to John Denham, who served as Health Minister under Tony Blair and has also served in Cabinet under Gordon Brown as well, who joins me now. It seems to me, Mr Denham, the government managed to get a 100,000 target round its neck before, and now they've decided to double it. Can you see the wisdom in this? Good morning.
Good morning. I think it's a terrible mistake, and I know well from my time in government that the problem with setting targets, particularly if they're being driven from the top, is actually the system will do everything it possibly can to meet the target, even if that means doing stupid things, that means damaging things, that means just hitting the target and neglecting the things you should be doing. And that's what's happening here. A numerical target for the number of tests doesn't mean that the right people being tested at the right time in the right place. And what really matters is, for example, in care homes, it should be the case that everybody is being tested, working in them, and those who are living in them every week. That isn't happening. We should be able to test all our hospital staff every week. That isn't happening. And as you just said in your report, unless we're able to test and track and trace and contact people in the community, then coming out of lockdown is going to be incredibly risky, because people who've got the virus will be passing it on to other people. So we need to have some focus on the way this is organised, not just on the numbers.
Labour's Justin Madders says it's nonsensical, it's headline grabbing, and it's a stunt. Would you go that far, Mr Denham?
I think it's dangerous. I think the danger, and look, the Prime Minister has now said 200,000 by the end of May. Does anybody think they're not going to somehow get to say that we've got the capacity at the end of May of 200,000 people? Of course they will. The target will be delivered just as it was for a couple of days for the end of April target. If you ask the more serious question, are the right people going to be tested by the end of May? Are we going to be in a position where we can ease the lockdown safely because we know we've stopped the disease spreading in the community because we're testing the right people? Those are the questions that should be answered. And I think Boris Johnson has saddled the entire health and care system, and all of us actually, with a meaningless target which is going to divert attention from what needs to be done to stop people dying.
Before I let you go, a word on the care homes. You might have heard, or you indeed might have seen, the Prime Minister saying he, quotes, bitterly regrets the epidemic in care homes, leading to more than 6,000 deaths, and that's where we stand currently. What went wrong there, do you imagine, Mr Denham?
Well, what seems to have happened, and obviously I'm not, working on these day to day these days, but what seems to have happened was that in order to stop the health service being overwhelmed, as the Italian system had been, elderly people were discharged from hospital into care homes in the middle of March, which at first sight looks like a sensible thing to do, particularly if the older you are, your chances of recovery are very low. But what also seems to be happening is they were discharged without being tested. And so people who already had COVID-19 were put into care homes where they weren't tested, where they were able to infect staff. And then because of the nature of that business's wonderful carers, they often work in more than one home, they were able to spread it around the system. And that's what seems to have happened. But the really unforgivable thing is that we are now 6 weeks, 7 weeks after that transfer of older people took place, and we're still not on top of what's happening in care homes. And what I think, if the mistake that was made at the time was understandable, given what people were trying to do, the inability to tackle it since is unforgivable.
John Denham, thank you. Served as Health Minister under Tony Blair and in the Cabinet with Gordon Brown. Listening to that at 12 after 7. Alan Wilson, who's President of the Institute for Biomedical Science. And I wonder if we might, Mr Wilson, just back up a little. Why are these tests so important? Good morning to you.
They're so important because we need to firstly identify the people who have this virus and be able to limit transmission, and that's the primary aim of what we're trying to do. The earlier we can identify who has this virus, isolate them, and then reduce the transmission of this disease is how we're going to reduce deaths from this disease. So that's why it's so important. We test the NHS laboratories' priorities is to test the patients when they're admitted and to triage them appropriately so they get the appropriate treatment. But actually now that the admissions to hospitals is falling, then the focus now has to be on limiting transmission out in the community and limiting the actual admissions into hospital, and that's what the importance of testing is here.
As an expert in this field, when you hear targets of 100,000, 200,000, which seem to be a little bit arbitrary, how do they strike you?
I can't, frustration is really the word, and I couldn't agree with you, previous speaker, more. We've been on this before and spoken on this before, and I am actually frankly really surprised that we're setting on a target. It's arbitrary again, it's the wrong thing to be doing, it just puts pressure on the system. The focus should be in having a strategy in place that identifies who gets tested, and I still don't see a strategy that's 200,000, but what is that going to deliver? And they talk about numbers, what we need is a clear strategy of who's going to be tested, when they're going to be tested, and how frequent they're going to be tested. And that's how we're going to tackle this disease, not by picking arbitrary figures out of the air and actually then putting pressure onto the system. That was always for the NHS, that becomes the target, that becomes the focus, and what we don't do and what we still haven't done is join up the access to that testing. So that should be the focus. Rather than putting a new target, we need to join up the actual demand and the capacity.
But in some instances, is there not a case, Mr. Wilson, that targets do work? If we use a sporting analogy and the rugby team is 21 points down in the first half of the second half and the boss says, right, let's just get to half-time without getting any more points, shipping any more points, doesn't that help a team focus on what needs to be done to get to the next stage?
It is if it's the right target. It's the wrong target, really, I think. I mean, the target should be you making sure those tests are limiting transmission, being used appropriately, as your previous speaker said, and they're not. We're not. We're testing. When we have these open testing centres, it's open. So, for example, it doesn't matter who turns up, we get tested. So we're not prioritising. We don't seem to have a clear strategy of who's the priority for testing. Is it residents in care homes? Is it staff in care homes? Is it NHS staff? It just seems to be a bit of a free-for-all. And no clear strategy of what we're trying to do. And that's how we target things now. I fully agree with that 100,000 target. The analogy I draw from this is that if you were doing, we do waiting lists in the hospital and we set targets for people and how many people treated, and we don't count how many appointment letters are sent out as a target. We count the number of people who are actually treated and have a test, not how many appointment letters were sent out. That's what we've done here.
Grateful to you, Alan Wilson. Thank you. Impressed with the Institute for Biomedical Science. Do you level of confidence do you have? I'll go through those testing figures in a moment. They have failed safe for 2 occasions to hit that 100,000 target. Do you have confidence they'll hit 200,000? We of course are trying to look forward to Monday as well and get a sense of what we might hear from the Prime Minister, the newspapers. And a key meeting takes place today between Boris Johnson and his cabinet. There does seem to be a fair amount of information being put out in the public domain. But to Germany, where they're already moving on that, is Angela Merkel.
We have seen good progress as far as the number of new infections is concerned. That means we can now take further steps.
Get the German pitch after the 7:15 LBC News headlines with Holly Harris.
Boris Johnson will review the UK's coronavirus lockdown with his cabinet later after suggesting some laws could be eased from Monday. A shipment of PPE from Turkey has reportedly been impounded after it failed to meet British safety standards. And Virgin Media and O2 are merging to create a £31 billion media and telecoms giant. The weather, sunny spells and showers, a high of 22 Celsius.
BBC Travel, I'm Joelle. We're very busy on the M1 southbound junction 12 at Flitwick, and that was after an accident that happened earlier. One lane's closed on the A23 Parley Way southbound just after Purley Cross where a car's overturned. Very busy northbound to the Blackwall Tunnel. In fact, that queue now all the way back to the Sun in the Sands. And in Kensington Church Street is closed both ways. Those emergency repair works are still taking place.
This is LBC. If you want a career in media, your future for you, for your family and friends. That's why closing TDC's dental implant centers wasn't difficult. We all have to do the right thing in these unprecedented times. And when it's safe to return, at TDC we'll be back to help our patients enjoy life with their smiles and confidence restored. In the meantime, our message is simple. Stay safe and well. From all of us at smileinaday.co.uk.
Hi, I'm Dan from NatWest Manchester branch. We know life's hard right now, but if coronavirus has affected your finances, we're doing our best to make things easier. If you're a personal customer, you can request a 3-month payment break if you're struggling with your mortgage, loan or credit card. Or if you need help with an existing arranged overdraft, you can get £500 interest-free for 3 months. Remember, every one of us is here to support you. There are lots of ways we can help. Search NatWest Coronavirus.
Eligibility and conditions apply to payment breaks. Overdraft up to your agreed limit if lower than £500.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
With Xero, accounting software for small businesses that works anywhere you do.
19 minutes after 7, you listen to LBC News breaking this time. The Bank of England just confirming no real surprises here that the interest rate will remain at 0.1%. Yes, you did hear that correctly, which is an absolute nightmare. Of course, if you're living off your savings, my simply this go to you. If you're seeking to borrow money, well, of course, all your luck trying to get to a bank. And most of the banks at the moment, anyway, 0.1% will have the interpretation of that. They've also been talking about quantitative easing, otherwise known as printing money. More on that in a little over 10 minutes' time with our city commentator David Buell. Front pages of the newspapers and virtually all of them are understandably enthusiastic about the news that we are looking at potentially an easing of lockdown of sorts here in the UK. We'll go to Germany in a moment, but a little bit ahead of us. The front page of the Daily Telegraph saying the stay-at-home rules is to be relaxed. The Daily Mirror saying 5 steps to end of lockdown. The Daily Mail, hurrah! Oh, you can see that word in the headline. Hurrah! Lockdown freedom beckons. The Daily Express first steps to freedom from Monday. The Sun, happy Monday, as I think it's named with band, wasn't it? The other front pages, the testing is the front page of the Guardian landmark test target that keeps being missed. The Financial Times looks at an aspect which we're looking at later in the show as well. Johnson looks to border checks as price lockdown relaxation will begin. Bringing a report from Heathrow Airport where they have talked about the deployment of scanners, although we've checked twice. It's not clear. Certainly they're going to scan you on the way out, which is obviously very good, but are we going to scan you on the way in? Because I can't see the point of only doing one-way traffic, because if we now move to a level, a degree of confidence that we're over the worst, then surely if people are coming to a country that's worse affected than us, we would need to know about that, wouldn't we? And with all that going on, the Times decides to tell us that double the risk of hospital for patients with obesity, which feels desperately behind the game. I think we probably knew that last week. So I'll give you this, as I always do around this time, this desperately sad figure of the impact of coronavirus. So on a global scale now, the cases confirmed 3,822,951, of whom 265,084 have died. In the UK, the cases now have just gone over 200,000, as we thought they probably would yesterday. It's 201,101, of whom, and I appreciate again you listening, your lives have been touched by this, but sadly succumbing to the symptoms, 30,076. And on the testing target, it came in at 69,463, which is over 30,000 light on where they promised it would be. That's before they extended. And I repeat, only on 2 occasions, the 1st and 2nd of May respectively, did they get over that 100,000 target. As we're talking about global matters, let's go to Germany in just a moment. Let's go to the US. It's too late to get in this morning's papers. It'll be in tomorrow's. Of course, President Trump speaking at the regular White House briefing about the deaths suffered and what the US is confronting.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this. And it should have never happened. Could have been stopped at the source. Could have been stopped in China. It should have been stopped right at the source. And it wasn't.
And early this week, having intimated that the coronavirus task force would be stood down, a handbrake turn.
I thought we could wind it down sooner, but I had no idea how popular the task force is until actually yesterday. When I started talking about winding it down, I'd get calls from very respected people saying, I think it would be better to keep it going. It's done such a good job. It's a respected task force. virus. It's very respected. People said we should keep it going. So let's keep it going, and so we'll be doing that. But we'll be adding some people to it.
Honestly, it's like a pupil in a school giving a lecture or something, isn't it? Hey. Alrighty, let's go elsewhere in the world. Germany announcing plans to lift lockdown measures and reopen much of the economy. Angela Merkel, the Chancellor, saying the first phase of the pandemic is behind us. This is interesting. Restaurants, hotels, pubs and nightclubs will be allowed to reopen over the course of this month, with the first venue serving food this weekend. Let's all get down to the beer keller. Large bratwurst for me, please. The Bundesliga Football League, the Premier League, will reopen in the second half of the month. Jürgen Kronig, commentator, former UK editor of German paper Die Zeit, and regularly helps us with German affairs. What do we put this down to? A more efficient health system and one that moved more swiftly, Jürgen? Good morning.
Good morning. A number of circumstances, and you put your finger on it, but the fact that Germany has so much fewer cases is partly due to the fact that we don't have a national health service. We don't have this huge bureaucracy. The National Health Service is, of course, not on the one hand heroic in its fight. Frontline staff, doctors, nurses, but the huge bureaucracy holds it back and is the reason why Britain is in a much worse state than Germany.
How does health work? If we were having this conversation in Berlin, Jürgen, would I have to have some form of insurance?
Yes, everybody has an insurance. As long as insurance or not on top of it, you can have an additional private insurance. And therefore, there is no limit to the cost, to the money spent on health in Germany. And the system is much more flexible. The reason we have so many tests in Germany in such a quick time is, here I talked to two people working for state institutions, public institutions, and they told me they got a call a few months ago from the Public Health England or other officials, and they asked, can you produce tests? They said, yes, we can do it. And then they heard never back. The officials were just covering their back. And they didn't follow it up. And this is the reason is that the National Health Service has procedures. It wants to be followed, and they make the process very complicated and with red tape and so on, and they don't like this flexibility system which is built into the German system.
Is this because you have 16 federal parliaments, federal states, though? Does that help in something such as health, Jürgen?
Yeah, but they are not enough.
I see.
And of course, it's political. You can say the federal system, which is a completely different matter. We see now at play, America has lost the power against the prime ministers of the 16 states.
Yes.
Who were all in favor of getting out of lockdown. You know, the lockdown. They wanted to finish it in different speeds and so on. And she was more cautious, but in the end, she gave in and gave the power over to the prime minister. Of course, on the flip side is, if a second or third wave will happen in Germany, who is then responsible? It is not then Merkel's fault. It is then the decision of the Bavarian Prime Minister or the North Rhine-Westphalian Prime Minister.
Yes.
Ironically enough, these Prime Ministers are competing for her job. This is a sort of specific German situation at the moment.
Let me ask you this lastly, changing tack. Jürgen, you and I have known each other for a long, long time, so you'll know I'm in no way being cheeky or insulting. Tomorrow there will be celebrations in this country because it came to the end of the war in Europe, what we call VE Day. Is that occasion marked in any way, shape or form in Germany?
I mean, not really at the moment, because at the moment there is so much concentration on other things.
Right.
But of course it has a different meaning.
Yes.
German, for some Germans, it is still a day which they value, but for most, it is the past.
Look after yourself and your family. Good speaking to you as ever, Jürgen Kronig. Thank you. Commentator on German affairs, former UK editor of German newspaper Die Zeit. Good friend to this show. 7:28. Let's come back straight to the UK. Cities such as London and Manchester. But let's focus in London, where roads and town centres will be transformed to create safe space for a massive increase in pedestrians and cyclists, City Hall announced. This is from, obviously, London Mayor Sadiq Khan, although Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham is apparently looking at similar measures. We go to Euston Road, where temporary cycle lanes are planned, also considered for Park Lane and other expansions as well, to allow people back on their bicycles. But not everyone can or indeed wants to cycle. Daniel Moylan was Deputy Chairman of TfL and joins me now. Where do you think this will take us, and is Mayor Khan's pursuing the right course of action, Mr. Moylan? Good morning.
Good morning. Well, good morning, Nick. Well, the Mayor's job at the moment, if he's going to get London's economy up and running again, is to make the tube work and the buses work, because they carry literally millions of people, about 6-7 million people a day. And many of London is hardwired around a rail transport system, has been for 150 years, that brings people from the suburbs into the centre of London in order to work. And the worry is that he has given up trying to find a plan for the tube, and instead he's concentrating on cycling and walking, and there is a role for cycling and walking, but it is marginal. Only about a tenth of the number of people who use buses and tubes actually cycle at the moment. Even if you doubled it, you still wouldn't be getting to the heart of the problem. You would not be solving London's economic problem, which is how to get people back to work. So I think this is really like, moving the deck chairs while the cruise liner has gone aground.
What about what could be, Mr. Moylan, quite a hike, a rise in people who seek to use their car or possibly their van to get into London because they're so frightened of travelling on public transport they don't want to contract the coronavirus?
Well, I think the fall in car usage is something over the years, is something that we should, on the whole, sustain. But I think at the moment, what the Mayor is making very explicit is he wants to screw down hard on car use. Now, I think this is the wrong time for that. Not because people are going to use their cars to come from, say, Harrow into Pall Mall, because you can't do that. There's nowhere to park. And by the time you've paid the charges for parking, you wouldn't have earned anything during the day. But there are parts about London where people can move around by car, probably will feel safer moving around by car. And if there's no public transport, you can't get on a bus, you're not going to have much option. So I think we should be more indulgent to car than he's sounding at the moment. Even if it's for a short period, as we get back to normal. But the key focus we've got to have is on getting the tube back up to capacity. And on that, he doesn't need to be trying. He's just saying, well, we'll have social distancing. There's no alternative, so we can only carry about 15%, 16% of the people we normally do. London can't work like that, and he needs to be told he's got to focus on that.
Daniel Moylan was Deputy Chairman of TfL. Thank you for your time, Daniel. We'll pick up on that conversation, and we'll be talking to you about testing. You are top of the list. I promise you we will get to you. In other news, the Prime Minister speaks of his bitter regrets.
Look at the crisis in care homes, and he's absolutely right to say that there's an epidemic going on in care homes, which is something I bitterly regret.
Plus, putting off the Ritz, how the Ritz Hotel was sold for half its market price due to espionage. A murky story we'll uncover after the 7:30 news here on LBC. This is Breakfast with me, Nick Ferrari. Headlines, Holly Harris.
Ministers are meeting later to decide exactly how to ease the coronavirus lockdown before the Prime Minister outlines the details on Sunday. They're reportedly focusing on getting people back to work and scrapping limits on exercise. It's understood a consignment of protective kit for NHS staff ordered from Turkey last month has failed to meet UK standards and hasn't been used. It was delivered late and an RAF plane had to go and pick it up. Donald Trump has called the pandemic an attack on the United States and says it's been more damaging than Pearl Harbor or 9/11. He's again blamed China for not stopping it at source. Virgin Media and O2 have announced a merger. It will create a media and telecoms company worth £31 billion. And in the last half an hour, the Bank of England has left interest rates unchanged at 0.1%. The weather's sunny and warm today for most, but there'll be isolated sharp showers, heaviest in Wales and Northern Ireland, and in western and central England with possible thunder, a high of 22 Celsius.
The coronavirus pandemic on LBC. LBC, asking the questions you want answering.
Celebrate the news that we're past the peak, but shouldn't we have a little more detail of exactly what the lockdown might look like this week?
The facts you need. This isn't about hindsight. I've told you the facts on the ground are publicly available to all of us. And the Prime Minister chose to say, I'm still shaking everyone's hands. And I'm asking you whether some of the things that were said and done were not right. Sharing your stories.
I'd like to think if I walk into hospital, I would feel as though I'm going to get the best treatment. I just don't feel that's going to happen at the moment.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
Hi, I'm Dan from NatWest Manchester branch. We know life's hard right now, but if coronavirus has affected your finances, we're doing our best to make things easier. If you're a personal customer, you can request a 3-month payment break if you're struggling with your mortgage, loan or credit card. Or if you need help with an existing arranged overdraft, you can get £500 interest-free for 3 months. Remember, every one of us is here to support you. There are lots of ways we could help. Search NatWest Coronavirus.
Eligibility and conditions apply to payment breaks. Overdraft up to your agreed limit if lower than £500.
Blocking your way through the kids' schoolwork. Pretending you always knew the capital of Brunei is Bandar Seri Begawan, when really you're frantically scrolling through the internet with your phone under the table, hoping that they just think you're an absolute fountain of knowledge. Whatever you rely on the internet for, rely on TalkTalk to stay connected. TalkTalk for everyone.
Has joined the call.
Hi. Can you hear me? We're getting behind the food charity Fair Share.
And we're making... Oh, sorry, you go.
And we're making it easy for us all to do our bit to be a local hero. Together we've raised enough for over 2 million meals. But we still need more. So please continue to donate in store.
Or by texting meals to 70490 to give a tenner.
Because even though we're apart, we can still help each other out.
Co-op, it's what we do. Fair Share is a registered charity in England and Wales. 1 00051 18 plus, text cost £10 plus standard rate message.
Across the nation, we've been discovering loads of new ways to get moving around the home. Why not join in? Join the lounge lunging, the 1-2 punching, and the star jumping while the spaghetti's on the hob. Don't let that water boil over. Join the impromptu dance parties happening over the phone. And the just 5 more minutes of playing astronauts and aliens in the garden. Please. Join the chair dips, the leg lifts, and the just shaking things out for a bit, happening all across the country. Join the movement to see how you can get moving, so stay in, work out.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
With Zero, giving businesses of all kinds the tools to take care of the numbers.
7:35. I'm so grateful, Anne, you've held on the line. I want to hear your view about. I want to hear your view about testing, and you are top of the list. But we must just get a quick look at the markets and other financial affairs from David Buick, who's with Aquis Exchange. And let's start with those markets. David, good morning.
Morning to you, Nick. We had a pretty bad day yesterday. Apart from the FTSE was only down 4 points. Unfortunately, the German government was at war with the ECB and the European Union over its bailout situation and challenged it. And at the moment, this 2.2 trillion euro saving package will not go through. This, of course, sent the DAX and the CAC down by about 1%. Across the water, we had dire economic data from the United States of America. The ADP Employment Exchange says 20.2 million jobs in the private sector were lost in April. In Asia, we've seen a fairly flat market, though it might have been a little bit low, but for Chinese data on trade, where exports rose in April by 3.5%. Unfortunately, imports tanked by 14.2%. But that's where it is that stands at the moment.
Bank of England have been giving some announcements. What do we take from that?
Well, it wasn't so much that there was no change in rates at 0.1%, they having been slashed on the 11th of March. Quantitative easing remains at £645 billion, despite the fact 2 people out of the 9 voted to increase it by £100 billion. That may well actually come. Andrew Bailey came out with some fairly dire numbers or suggestions. They weren't numbers. He suggested that it's possible that GDP for the year could be minus 14%.